Hello, in this video we're going to discuss sociobiology. Sociobiology is a theory that says human behavior is a result of genetics and natural selection, evolution by natural selection. That is, if we want to understand why human beings behave the way they behave, we need to understand genetics, evolution by natural selection, in the environment in which our ancestors back then um, evolved, because our character, personality, attitudes, one word behavior is grounded in genes. Um, One of the implications of the theory of evolution is that human beings we exist essentially to spread our genes, have sex, reproduce, pass our genes into the next um, generation. This is essentially why we're here. This is why um, sex and reproduction are two powerful desires in all living things. And this also means sex and reproduction are ways of fighting against death. Sex and reproduction are ways of fighting against mortality. Because we all know we will die, but if we have children, we pass our genes to them. So even though physically we are gone, but our genes remain behind. Um, if you watch National Geographic Channel, you'll see that during mating seasons, animals are willing to fight to the death for sex. Most animals have mating seasons. They have sex only for reproduction. So one of the things that makes us different from them is that human beings have sex for pleasure as well. So when mating seasons come along, animals fight, fight to the death for a chance to have sex and reproduce. Let me give you some example. Um, Bumblebees, when the male has sex, his penis explodes and he dies. The penis of the male of a bumblebee explodes and the male dies during sex. But he still has sex, even though he knows he will die. There are some spiders, the male is small, the female is twice the size of the male. The male can only have sex one time, after that he will die. Just one time. If you observe them, watch them carefully, they're excited for sex, they can't wait. But once they're done, they're just dead. But they're willing to have sex, even though they know that they will die. But you see, as long as the female is pregnant, the genes are passed into the next generation, they're willing to die for that. Um, Gorillas, only the big alpha guy is the only one who can have sex. He control all the females. If a younger male wants to have sex, you have to challenge him to a fight. Pretty much you have to take top position. So if you don't beat him, if you don't kill him, he's going to beat you or kill you or abuse you. But he controls every female. And if you apply that to human beings, you can also see polygamy has been widespread in human culture. Always, men used to have more than one wife. Male lions, for example, when a big guy, male lion, takes over a lion pride, the first thing that the male does, he kills all the children. All the children, he kills them. Why? They are not his children. So after he kills all the children, now the females now want to have sex. They have sex, he has his new children now, children that have his genes. When the kids grow up, he kicks out the males. That's a harsh life. The big guy kicks out all the young males after they grow up. Now those young males, they're gonna walk around, also try to take over, the lion pride. And if they do, they're gonna kill all the children too, have sex, have their own children too. And when the kids go out, they're gonna kick them. They will kick the males out again. So the cycle just repeats itself. So the genes get spread. Then you see let's use one more. Baboons fight wars just like human beings fight wars. Let's say Group A is fighting versus Group B. Let's say Group B loses the battle. Now all the females on Group B now belong to Group A because Group B lost. Now they're going to transfer all the females of Group B to Group A. But before they transfer them, they're going to inspect them to see if one is pregnant. If one is pregnant, they will kill you. They're not going to transfer you to Group A because the genes belong to Group B, not Group A. See? Harsh. If you applied that to human beings, quickly you could see some resemblance. Male lions kill the children. Baboons kill females who are pregnant. Notice, if you apply that to human beings, studies show step-parents are more likely to abuse stepchildren. Step-parents are more likely to abuse stepchildren because they're not their children. They're not carrying their genes. I'm not saying if you're a step-parent, you're going to abuse your stepchildren. I'm saying the chance is higher and higher. This is why, let's say, if you're watching the news, you hear a mother or a father who kills his own or her own biological children. It's hard to make sense of it. Because how can you kill your own children? But you see, if it's a step-parent, a stepmother that kills some stepchildren, it's like something in the back of our minds tells us, well, we knew it could happen. See? The example of gorillas that only the big males controls all the females. Again, polygamy has been widespread in human culture for a long time. This also means if indeed I exist to spread my genes into the next generation, it's better to have more than one partner. If I have one wife, I can only have one baby a year, unless my wife has twins. But I'm going to have a child a year. But if I have 10 wives, I can have 10 children a year. All of them have my genes. Then if I exist to spread my genes, then you see it's better for me to have a bunch of sexual partners, a bunch of wives, because all of them can have kids for me. Hence, again, polygamy has always been widespread in human culture. For women, it's not beneficial for you to have 10 partners at the same time. Because a man can get 10 women pregnant in one day, but a woman, you're going to get pregnant only for one man. Therefore, to spread your genes, it is not beneficial for a woman to have 10 partners the same way a man can have 10 partners. Now, this leads to more interesting conclusion about why human beings do the things that they do. There are some studies, again, this clearly shows there are differences that are ingrained in biology between males and females. And it's not because of culture or society. Genetically, biologically, there are things that makes us different. They did some studies. They asked men, how many sexual partners you would like to have for your entire life? The men says, well, 18 sexual partners. They asked the man, well, which one would trouble you the most? That your wife sleeps with somebody else? Or that your wife has a deep affection for another man? All the men say what would trouble them the most is if their wives have sex with somebody else. And you can see why sexual jealousy is the number one reason why sometimes men abuse women. They think the girl is cheating, the girl is doing something with some other guy. Men can't stand the fact that his wife, his partner, is sleeping with somebody else. If you flip that, they ask women how many sexual partners you'd like to have in your entire life. The women say it's about 4 to 5. The men say 18. The women say 4 to 5. They ask the women, which would trouble you the most? That your husband sleeps with somebody else, or that your husband has a deep affection, that your husband falls in love with somebody else? Most of the women say what would trouble them the most is that their husband have a deep affection for another woman. Why? Well, if the husband has a deep affection, if the husband falls in love with another woman, then they can leave you. And back then, this was a big deal, because if the husband leaves you, you're going to lose material resources. All the resources the man used to give you, now he's going to give them to somebody else. And again, back then, you didn't want to do that. So a woman, even though she didn't want it, but if the husband sleeps with somebody else, I can understand that. But a deep affection for somebody else, no, I'm going to lose more and more and more and more. No more resources for me. And men understand this well. This is why if a woman catches her husband cheating, sometimes the men say, well, he didn't mean anything. It was just sex. This means there was no affection. There was no love involved in it. So that's why women say that. That's why men say that, because they know if their wife know they have affection for somebody else, it becomes a bigger problem. Therefore, they say it was just sex. It was just sex. This is why, let's say I have a wife. My wife is pregnant. I was away on a business trip, and then my wife gives birth. I wasn't there. Let's say I was at work. Then they call me, they say my wife is giving birth. Notice, as soon as I walk inside the hospital, or as soon as I walk back home, if I wasn't there, everybody will say, oh, the baby looks just like you, just like you, just like you. The baby looks just like his father. It's not true. Sometimes it's just not true. But society says this because they want to ingrain in your mind the baby is your baby. Because if the man concludes, it's not my baby, it's not my... Again, he may walk away. The woman's going to lose resources. So that's why since day one, everybody says the baby looks just like you. Again, back then, before DNA testing, it was easier for a man to raise the child of another man because there was no DNA testing. So you don't have any doubt in your mind the baby is yours. So people say, well, the baby is yours, the baby is yours, right? So again, when it comes to sex, male and females, they see things very differently. This is also why men are more violent than women. Men are more aggressive than women. There are some species of beetles. Beetles. The females lay the eggs. After that, they're gone. The males would stay there and take care of the eggs. Now, because the males are good, the other ones will take care of the eggs. The females now get into competition for that male because the male does a good job. Now, because there's competition between the females grow bigger, larger, more beautiful. They become more violent too because there's competition between them. Again, you could see the same thing in human beings. Men compete for women, especially back then, especially when there was more polygamy. And since there's competition between males for women, men grow bigger, men grow larger. And the women back then, they prefer the men with more testosterone. So that's one reason men are more violent, more aggressive than women. And that's why mostly the men fight the wars, not the women, mostly. And if you look at the prison system, you can obviously see that there are way more men in prison than women. Men are more violent, more aggressive, because again, back then, there was competition. In fact, there's still competition between men for women. This also means whichever one of them spends more time with the children, whichever one of them invests more in the children, are more picky, more choosy. Women are more picky when it comes to sex, more choosy. Because they don't want to going to be pregnant for 9 months, carry the baby for 9 months and give birth and breastfeed. Men are less picky. This is why, again, there are some more tests that they do. If you take a hot man, send him to a bar, a club, and ask him to go on asking the women, which one of you wants to come home and have sex with me tonight? Most of the women would say, no, I don't know you, I don't want to have sex with you. Switch that. Take a hot girl, send her to the club tonight. Ask her to go on asking the men, which one of you would like to come home and have sex with me tonight? 75% of men would say, yes, I want to come home and have sex with you tonight. Hence again, women are more picky, men are not that picky. They ask women, when you're choosing a man, what characteristics you're looking for in a man? The women say, good financial prospects. They ask the man, what is it you're looking for in a woman when you're looking for somebody to mate with? They say, I want a woman who is young and beautiful. Why? Our ancestors associated back then youthfulness and beauty, being young and being beautiful, they linked that to being healthy. And being healthy meant, well, she's fertile. That is, she can have my babies. You see? So again, men and women don't approach sex in the exact same way. So again, this also explains why men are more violent, why the prison system has way more men in prison than women. This explains why usually men are the one who fight all the wars. This also explains why, again, the leading cause of, the leading reason as to why men abuse women sometimes is because of sexual jealousy. They think their partner was doing something with someone else, and a man can't fathom that. They just can't. They just can't. All right. Um, this is why also men commit more murders than women. Homicides, the school shootings, mostly again they're done by men, often young men who are unemployed, unmarried, and often men with little resources to attract women. Okay, so sex and reproduction are the only game that is in town according to this idea, because again we become immortal through our genes, even though physically we're not here. But if you have children, you pass your genes into them, you become immortal and having children. That's it for this video.